that preparation for a musical theater audition. There's so much that goes into it. And, I'm sure there are kids who, like me, only did a couple of plays in college. I had no intention of going into a college program. I didn't even know they existed, really. No, this was in the years ago. But today there are kids who are going through high school, performing arts high school programs versus kids who are not. And this book is something that can help at both ends of the spectrum. But would you, what are a couple of tips that the two of you might share? Things that you both like to see happening, or advice you would both give, or advice that's very specific to each of you. So feel free to we'll just kind of make this a little conversation. Like, David, what's like the tidbit you give to anyone who asks?
Well, the first thing that comes to me is, our industry continues to have a long overdue conversation about equity in the theater, right? And what is slowly starting to change as a result of that is that we're moving away from character type into having a real sense of an actor's or a performer's essence. And I think that the biggest advice I can give anyone who's auditioning for a college musical theater program is you have to really know yourself, where you are right now. Obviously, we are, especially in young ages, we continue to change. Those years are way gone for me, but we continue to evolve. And I think the more that you can really have a sense of who you are and what you bring. Are you a naturally funny person? Are you a naturally effervescent person? And then how do you pick material that highlights that, right? Of course, New York City, sorry.
Can't help it. Those are all wonderful points, David. Laura, what's another tip that you might bring to your coaching sessions?
Well, I think kind of jumping off of what David just said, I think it's also about, you do all of that preparation, but then it's also really important to be present the day of the audition. So everything from like when you first get there, I think as David mentioned, adjudicating and playing the piano, everybody at an audition is potentially someone who is evaluating you. The monitor who's outside, the person who checks you in, anybody that's in the room. There could be students outside just mingling in or alumni in the hallway. But it's also important that when you get in there, you're not so anxious. And I know that's like the hardest thing to tell people because of course it's this high pressure situation, but you need to be able to bring yourself into that room and be able to be in the moment so that when people talk to you, you're able to respond. Because I think so many people get in there and they're so anxious that they just sort of freeze up, or they're so busy trying to tell me what they think I want to hear instead of actually just being themselves. Thank you. I got to visit Unified Auditions a couple years ago as a guest and sit in on a couple of the colleges just to see how they were doing it. And one of the professors who was adjudicating, I asked him, what are you looking for? And he said, I'm looking for a unicorn. He said, I'm not looking for the kid who's the most polished. I'm not looking for the kid whose audition is perfect. I'm looking for the kid that I see potential. And that may be a kid who I can tell has had very, very little training, has no resume, hasn't had a musical theater class, but you can see they have that energy and they're positive and they're excited and they're ready to work. So I think as hard as that is, it's sort of like get the training behind you and then also work on just being present in that time and trying to teach yourself how to relax enough to do that. It's a very hard skill to master, and I know a lot of professionals who don't either, but that's really my best audition advice.
Part of that requires that you know your material inside and out. And I think one of the things that Laura and I have both experienced as audition coaches is, folks coming to us like a month before the audition saying, yeah, I have this audition coming up. And I'm like, great. So what repertoire do you have? Oh, I haven't picked up my repertoire yet. Okay. Well, we're gonna have. I can help you learn this stuff, but but that moving to the next level of being, as Laura said, being present, like that's going to be really hard. It's not impossible, but it just makes it all the more hard. So really. Making sure that, like, if you were planning to audition for musical theater programs, by the summer of your junior year, junior into senior year, you should know the repertoire you're singing, because you're going to have to record pre-screens. Some of them require them as early as August. So you really want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time to learn material, so then you can be present in that way.
Thank you so much, David and Laura, for your time today at the Stage Agent Meet the Theater Artist interview. Everybody be sure to check out their book, Mastering College Musical Theater Auditions. There are great tips in there, honestly, for performers of any age. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.